Hey, I'm Unbiased Bob, and welcome back to this channel where we talk about local AI. Now, in this video series, we're taking a look at tools that you can use on your Mac to do coding with open weights models. Ideally, we want to be using open source software on our Mac to do free, local, private coding and software engineering work. Now, I was surprised due to LLM Studio's massive popularity to find out that A, it's not open source, and B, it's not a coding tool. You can download it and you can use it to spawn a server that runs Llama. But if you open it up, you can't start prompting a web app into existence. You can't start using it to create a game. It can't edit files. It's a server and a chatbot interface. So luckily, the company behind it, Element, did release a tool last week or in mid-July called Bionic. And Bionic appears to be their new featured app. If you go to lmstudio.ai now, their main call to action and their main download link is to Bionic, and this is their agentic coding platform. So you download this app, you can run the server as well as do the coding within the same app, which is kind of a nice experience, and that's what we're looking to review and examine in this video series. So we're going to look at Bionic today. We're going to switch over and take a look at the setup that I did on a resource-constrained Mac earlier. Okay, I've got an 18 gigabyte Mac. It's a pretty low-end device. It's recent, but it wasn't the most expensive Mac that you could provision. And so the reason I want to look at the setup on this machine is because it highlights both some of the good things and the bad things about using Bionic, okay? The UI is extremely minimal and spare. There's no token per second output, there's no reasoning output, there's no model memory display. How much memory does my machine have and how much is in use by the model that's being used. And in this footage, I accidentally oversubscribed my Mac. I was running a model config that was just too large for the apps that I already had running and the other stuff that was in use on my laptop. So there's no indication in the UI that this is happening. There's no indication that you're getting degraded performance other than your whole machine kind of grinding to a halt. In this case, I was just swapping really hard from having too many applications using too much memory. Now, their runtime has a super simple spawn a model page, like start a model server. And that's good. I think that's excellent to be opinionated. But what's problematic is the defaults. For Qwen, aggressive KV cache quantization doesn't degrade performance according to my measurements. And so you can do this within Bionic, but it's labeled as experimental. And this is a feature that's well supported within Llama Server. And additionally, the sampling parameters don't match the recommendations from Qwen and from Unsloth. So I'd like to see the defaults for Qwen 3.5, super popular. I'd like to see those improved within Bionic. So yeah, coming back to my Mac and doing a more complicated app example, the tool calls and Bionic's interface itself were pretty clean. Now, this model was tasked with something that I think is basically outside of its capabilities, which is this 3D Minesweeper. We had Qwen 3.8 Max in a different video implement this, and I think it's just kind of a hard problem to get right for this model. And you can see that here in their UI, it has this worked for 28 minutes button. And if you dig in there a little bit, we can see that it was reasoning, that it was calling tools, that it was giving us output. Here it called 49 tools and read a file. So they're going to great lengths to collapse all of the functioning of your model behind simple UI elements. So this is an interesting design choice. This is a pretty extreme example of that. There's just a lot of stuff that gets hidden by default. Okay, so where do we stand? I can't recommend Bionic for agentic coding on the Mac. It's simple to the point where it's lacking features. And I really don't like to see a pricing page on my open source tool for using open weights models. And they have some kind of subscription system coming soon, Bionic Pass. I'm just not excited to see what they're having to offer there. One of the biggest problems is that Bionic is opaque with respect to the version of Llama Server that I'm running. It lags behind their upstream dependency by an unknown amount. I would really like to know what version of Llama Server I'm using. I think that's critical. And if it's going to be opaque and just use some upstream version, or maybe they have a fork and merge stuff in periodically, I'd rather just use Llama Server as my backend. Also, the default configurations for some of the most popular models out there are wrong for coding. I hope Element Labs considers open sourcing their new client, and I also hope that they make some changes to make the default experience better for knowing which version of Llama Server I'm using. I think they could also benefit from changes to the UI that make it so it's more apparent how much RAM is being used by the model, and that would make it much more likely for me to use this tool. Well, anyways, thanks for taking a look at LM Studio, Bionic, and Element Labs with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.